AKA, and I'm an alcoholic addict.
Welcome to Recovering Addict. My name is Jake, and I am a recovering substance user. LT likes to do a little testimonial. I like to give my resume. I have what qualifies me to be sitting here doing this stream for you is I have experience in addicted homes, trauma, sexual abuse, domestic violence, long periods of incarceration, a long history of violence, inside of a correctional facility as well as on the streets, running and gunning. My DOC mainly was meth. I struggled with that from 18 until I believe I was 26 when Drake was born, my son. And that's when I really started to turn my life around. I did have numerous relapses during that period of time. I was trying to white knuckle it, trying to stay strong for my family, provide for them while also being in a less than supportive relationship. Can't really go more into that. But I'm here tonight with all of you because we have a guest. Tonight will be, I thought about it and I decided that I will start calling these streams, the interview streams, seeking moments, because we all have those moments in time where we had a change. There was a moment that transpired that there was, excuse me, some radical change mentally, physically, spiritually, and that is what I'm going to attempt to locate, to track down, to pinpoint during the interviews, moving forward, because those seem to be the most interesting and carry the most weight. Maybe I'm struggling to articulate exactly what I'm seeking there, but there's always, like, everybody during their addiction, during their recovery, there was always a moment where everything changed. And so tonight we are going to seek those moments with Tiffany, AKA Recovering Mama 2021, I believe her handle on the Discord is. And I will bring her in. Here we have Drake. Seems to be running around, sweaty and flush in the face. And then we have the milliner right here. Did you get your nails done again? Mm-hmm. Show the camera. Get real close. Look at them. Oh, a little far back. There you go. So we can get them in focus. Excellent. So I will bring her in, and here she is. This is Tiffany. How are you tonight, Tiffany?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Would you care to give us an introduction? The drug use history, drug of choice, sobriety date, some of the steps that you took in recovery, just very briefly before we get into more detail.
Okay. Well, my drug of choice was opiates, mainly narcotics, pain pills, some I guess stimulants like Adderall. My sobriety date would be July 18th, 2019. Coming up on 2 years. I guess some of the steps I've taken to get into recovery, it was kind of, I don't know, I guess, at first, was kind of forced one of those I had to or this would happen type things. Um, and I guess really that's really about it. It was one of those just like I had to do it or I'd lose this and that and everything else.
Okay. So when you were a kid, what did your home look like? Well, like, obviously not the physical building, but you know, uh like what was your sort of your family dynamic? Like how was your childhood, friends, social structure, things like that?
um, I was a very shy kid. Um, my parents sheltered me a lot from a lot of things. I didn't really come out of my shell um, till I got a little bit older. I'd say preteen, teenager age. Um, but my parents they hid a lot from me. They didn't allow me to go out and do a lot of things as far as like I didn't have the chance of like when I was old enough. Like I never got to go like have sleepovers with friends. You know, my friends had to come with me. Um, and things like that. So I was real sheltered um, during most of my life. It eased up a bit when I became a teenager, um, but it was still compared to other teenagers, it was still really sheltered.
Okay. And so so you said that you were shy during school. So
Yes.
when did so like I said, there's moments,
Hmm.
good and bad. Like what was the moment, like what introduced you? Okay, so my daughter, okay, she's 19 now. She has a history of self-mutilation, right? She was a cutter. And I asked her one day, as we were progressing and she was healing, I asked her, "Where did you get that idea? Where
Right.
what was the moment where you learned of this and was introduced to this concept? Because I cannot for the life of me come up with like a series of events that would organically lead you to putting a blade against your skin to pr- like undergo an emotional like release through physical pain. So sort of like what what was that? Like where did you get the idea like to use
Um,
drugs?
I'd say when I was about 12 or 13, um, my dad had begun um, taking prescription pain pills, and he himself had gotten addicted. That is where I first had seen something like that. The very first time I was actually introduced and actually physically got addicted would be I was 14 and I had my tonsils taken out and got prescribed liquid hydrocodone, and that's where the very first time I got addicted to something like that. But from the time I was about 12 or 13 until this present day, today, I have seen my dad abuse and take narcotic pain pills. He would even do aspirin, Tylenol, pretty much any type of pill he could get his hands on.
So here's a question. So you say that liquid hydrocodone after you had your tonsils removed, you became addicted to that.
Yes.
Now, was there something that you were coping with at that period of time that the because there's always, in my opinion, there always seems to be a reason. There's always something. Like people with eating disorders, the eating disorder helps them. that's why they develop the eating disorder, because it serves some purpose. What purpose did the hydrocodone serve when you were
Um,
14? Like, and it could be, just because you said you were shy, it could be just loneliness made you feel better, as simple as that. But was there
I
something?
think around that exact same time, I've never actually really thought on that time up until now, but at that point in time, my parents, that was when they really started like having issues within their relationship. They never got a divorce, but they were more like roommates, um, but still being married. Um, and then my dad, uh, watching him take all that, all the pain pills and stuff like that, that I think played a huge part in that, because before, like 12 or 13, my dad wouldn't even take one Tylenol for a headache. Um, and I've always been one of those girls. I've been a daddy's girl. I've always been close to my dad, and then to see him, I, I mean, to see him like go from not take even the slightest thing for a headache to constantly taking some type of narcotic pain pill to get high, dealing with that, dealing with their relationship, and watching them pretty much fall apart,
Was
had a
there
lot to do with that.
like knockdown, drag out fights, like screaming? Were there physical altercations that you may have been witness
There
to?
was screaming at each other and fighting. The my dad nor my mom ever hit each other. They never hit each other, so it's never gotten physical. But there was verbal abuse and mental abuse.
So there was some exposure
Yeah.
there. Do you have siblings?
I have a younger brother.
Yeah. How did he handle that situation?
I really don't think he understood it too much. We're 6 years apart, so
So he would have
he
been
just kind of,
he would have been about 7 then.
yeah.
Okay.
So like, I don't think he really understood what was going on. I understood it a little bit, I guess you could say, being as old as I was, but I mean, I don't think he remembers it, to be honest. Which I'm glad he doesn't.
Okay. So you went to you enjoyed the hydrocodone. Like, did it how did you like, how long did that last until that prescription ran out, or was there?
um, my parents, they actually caught it before it got extremely bad, so it did not last very long. They had actually, when they noticed what was happening, they took it in their own hands and started weaning me off of it before
Okay.
I got full blown addicted.
I would like to acknowledge Christine Williams very briefly. She says, "Hello, beautiful people in recovery. My name is Christine. I will be coming up on 40 years, August 16th, 1981. That is amazing.
That is amazing.
That is amazing. Like, that, I would love to hear your story there, Christine, sometime if you're willing. So, what happened next? Like, you got a little taste of hydrocodone, you enjoyed it, your parents weaned you off of it. Like, what, how like your high school, how did high school
um,
treat you, your formative years in high school?
I mean, high school was okay. Um, as far as like any type of drug, um, I didn't really touch it until touch any other type of drug until I was like 16 or 17. Um, that was when I tried marijuana for the first time.
When you
Smoked
at what age?
about 16 or 17. Um, and that was also when I tried my first cigarette. Uh, and I was never a fan of marijuana. Um,
Who
I
introduced you to marijuana? Like, we don't need a name specifically, but just
just a lot of my friends smoked it, and I tried it one day, but I mean, I was never really fond of it. All I wanted to do was sleep. After I smoked it, I never touched anything other than marijuana. I tried a cigarette once and I didn't like it. When I was 16 or 17. Uh, and I mean, high school, it was pretty much, I mean, that was pretty much it through high school.
right on. Uh, Angela, I 7-Eleven. That's awesome. 9 years. I would like to hear how you did that. So 16, marijuana, tried a cigarette, and then like you were hanging out with yeah, the Angela was my manager at 7-Eleven. Oh, Big Hump. We got a super chat from Big Hump. Thank you, Hump. Always a pleasure to see you come out of the bushes there, sir. So, you're hanging out with the stoner kids. Where did that, like, the next couple of years, like, you said you weren't too fond of marijuana, but
I
then
mean,
we went from marijuana and then eventually we get into opiates somewhere. So, what does that next couple of years look like for you?
um, the next couple of years, I mean, it was the occasional marijuana, but nothing like on a regular basis. I never smoked another cigarette during those 2 years or those few years. Um, and I didn't actually start for about 16 to 18. That was it. Occasional marijuana, no cigarettes. 18 hit, and that was when the opiates hit.
So, was there trauma? Was there a trauma event? Because,
Yes.
or are we talk like, are you comfortable sharing that?
No, I'm fine with it.
So what happened?
um, at 18, um, it kind of went downhill with my parents, and my mom left. Um, and she took off about the same time. My dad was getting laid off due to his job of about 35 years closing. The business was shutting down, and we knew it was coming. And she left and left me and my brother with my dad. My dad not making any type of income, and she took off and she was going to bars and partying and everything like that. And I that right there, her leaving, I ended up having to help my dad with my brother, him being six years younger. I had to play mama. um and that that right there really hit. It was right after she left. um I was crying. I was mad at her, upset with her, couldn't believe that she left. I never thought she would leave, you know. And that hurt me. She hurt me when she took off and left.
Was she drinking and partying before she left?
No,
So it just like
it was almost like she didn't want her family no more, and bam, she was gone. And
like
she was
there weren't any signs. There was just there weren't like that you can recall. Like you didn't like. Do you think she could have possibly been hiding a party lifestyle?
really no. I don't think she could be. She was home at night. Unless she was drinking and partying while we were at school, then um but I mean, she just like it was just like all of a sudden it's like she wanted to be 20 something years old again. And it made me mad and it hurt me, and that's when it started.
Okay. So where did you start with your opiate journey? Was it just pain pills?
Yeah, it was like hydrocodone and Percocet. Um I did get them prescribed by a doctor at first, because I do have a medical diagnosis for chronic pain. Um, and It started off that way. They cut me off, and then it escalated. I took more than what I was supposed to of the prescription, and then they cut me off because it wasn't going to be a lifelong thing. They wasn't going to keep me on it lifelong. They cut me off where I was taking more than normal. I started buying from the street, and um, uh, that was, let's see, that started at 18. At about that went along for about from 18 to 20. Then at 20, I met the boyfriend that I have now. Um, and he,
Let's back up just a moment.
okay.
What what were the drugs helping you with? Like
Um,
your mom leaving, or was there something more?
my mom leaving, it was helping numb the pain. And I took them a lot, like because they made me feel like I have energy. Um, my big thing is stimulants, any type of stimulant. And at first, the pain pills, they kick in. You get upped like you're Superman. At first, and that's what I liked about it. Um, but as far as like helping me with anything else, that, and then of course my dad at this point is still on pain pills. Watching him do that. Um, and then having to be mama to my younger brother, having to deal with that, having to deal with the stress and everything of, the bills being paid and everything like that.
So
Um,
basically becoming the primary caregiver before you were ready, taking on parental role.
right.
Okay. So so the drugs were helping with your mother leaving, the the extra responsibility that you had to assume as a result of her leaving and your father's continuing addiction, because it seems to me that there was, to exacerbate the situation, there was exposure to the maybe not physical violence, but the verbal violence, as
Yeah.
well as your father's addictions and being exposed to that, therefore being growing up and living in an addicted home. So Now we're at 20 years old. You've been going to street pharmaceutical distribution centers.
Right.
And does it escalate from there? Like,
Mhm.
do you graduate to heroin or something harder or meth or
Um, no. I never went any further onto heroin or meth or anything like that. That had a lot to do with the boyfriend that I got with when I was 20. Um, and I did I did go to bars from 20 to about 24, 25, and every weekend, every Thursday through Saturday night, drinking, getting drunk, um, on top of the opiates, the narcotics. Um, and we finally quit going to the bars. I quit drinking. Um, the only thing that escalated was how often I bought and how much I took.
can you give us an idea of what your addictive cycle looked like at its peak?
Let's see. Um, I guess at, at its peak, it would be waking up. I couldn't get out of bed without something. Um, if I didn't have something, um, I'd find something. I was constantly like, I'd spend every hour, every minute, every second of the day trying to find something. Um, I'd take every last bit of my money. It didn't matter what it was for or anything like that. It didn't even matter if I needed to eat. I would take every last bit of it and buy as many as I could. Um, and it got to where I would take it instead of just one doing okay and doing just fine. I'd have to take three or four of them at once, and which in turn would cost more money per day, because they would only last 2 or 3 hours, and then in 2 or 3 hours, here I am looking again.
So
You know,
was the increase in dosage, was it primarily simply due to building that tolerance, or was there added stressors in your life that assisted this escalation?
um,
I would imagine that just living that lifestyle would add stress,
yeah,
just organically. But was there, how was your relationship with your boyfriend? Like, how long did that last? Like, what did that look like? Were you
um,
both addicted?
he he was not addicted. He didn't take drugs. He would smoke marijuana every now and then, but was not addicted. Um, he wouldn't take any pain pill. The relationship was good. Um, and I really think it was a tolerance, and then not coming to terms with you know what has happened to me in the past and in my childhood. Um,
To what are we referring to?
as far as like,
Like your mother leaving
yeah,
or
my
the
mom leaving, me having to take on the parental role when I wasn't ready, and then seeing my dad go from wouldn't take nothing to full blown addict, and having to watch that, trying to deal with all that. But also the tolerance, that I built up over so long of taking them, And then also the stress of that lifestyle in general.
Christine here says that she would love to have you on her page. Woman to woman's inspiration. I'm going to check back on your story. We would love to have you on our group. Have you on. Our group is for women only in recovery.
Definitely. Will do. Would love it.
If you would mind posting a link to that, Christine, or let's figure out how to get you guys connected. So, so, um, so you mentioned an increase in tolerance, an increase in stress
Yeah.
to deal with, what happened to you, the things that you experienced in childhood, the things that here women to women's inspiration. It's on Facebook. I will add you. I'm going to assume that WAN means will. I Please give me your full name. I am so proud of you that you're on here. Remember, we are working progress one day at a time. So, if you wish to give your full name, that's entirely up to you.
It's fine. My full name's Tiffany Henley. It's Henley.
Okay. You get that, Christine? So, so you're going hard. You're always on the chase,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find the pills. What Where did you find that rock bottom? Like, when did that lifestyle start to be like? No, let's back up. When did the lifestyle start to cause you enough stress that you might have started thinking that there was a problem?
Um. Up. Well, let's see. I had kind of like I knew I had a problem. I'd say about a year before I hit the bottom. But I wasn't able to admit it.
What did your life look like at that point when you started to think you might have a problem?
Um. When I wasn't able to do anything at all without being high. I started noticing that about a year before I hit that bottom.
Okay. And what did that year look like before you hit the bottom?
Um, Me and my boyfriend, it would be a
Is this a
constant.
different boyfriend?
Nope, same boyfriend.
Okay. So then what
Um,
age is this?
about 24.
So you've been with the same boyfriend for about 4 years, 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, we started fighting, started arguing, and everything, and it was constant because all I could think about was chasing the high, and
And
it caused a lot of problems, arguing and everything between me and him.
so what was he doing during this period of time? Was he using at all?
No,
Like, that's interesting. That's interesting to me to so like did were you like hiding how much you were taking? Like, was he just
trying to.
was he
Yes.
naive? Like, didn't realize, hey, my
No, I
girlfriend
was
is high
trying
as
to hide
balls
it.
right now?
He, I was trying to hide it, and he would catch me, and that's what would cause the problem.
Thank you, Marilyn, for the super sticker. Always an excellent supporter. Thank you again. Appreciate that. So he would catch you getting high. Like, where were you getting your money? Like, did you have like a joint
I
bank
worked.
account, or so you
No,
you did have a
I worked.
job?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry, that sounded a little bit harsher than I intended. So you would go to work and spend all your money on
Yeah,
pills or
we lived with family, so at the time, so we didn't have any bills. So whatever money I made I could spend on whatever, which was probably the issue. Now that I think back, um, and he would wonder, he would ask me, where'd all my money go? And I try to come up with the excuses on what I spent it on, and he would be like, "No, you didn't, because you didn't come home with that," or something like that, and he'd call me out on it, and then I'd get mad, and that's where it would start.
okay, so that year it turned into a series of fights,
Yeah.
and then what, like, was there other things that contributed to, like, did that year just get really fucking bad or
Yeah, I had actually moved out. We had took a break from each other, and I had moved back in with my parents because we were living with his, and we were still together, but we were just taking a break from each other, and we were hanging out one night, and that's where it comes to the rock bottom that night.
and what happened?
Um, he had looked at me and said, "You either drop the pain pills or I'm gone." He, by giving me that ultimatum, he made me realize I had something to lose. Before that night, I did not realize that I had something to lose and that he would leave me over them.
And then what happened?
Then I went cold turkey off of the pain pills, and I did extremely well. Um, I it was hell coming off of them, but after I made it through the detox and all the withdrawals, I did really well. Um, till about 2 years later. Um,
So what did those 2 years look like?
um, I moved back in. We went out to eat. I had a job. I wasn't blowing all my money. We were able, to go out and do things. Birthdays, I was able to get him stuff. He got me stuff. Valentine's Day, we were able to go do stuff together. Um, we were able to just go hang out with friends. Instead of sit at home all the time or worry about this and that, like, okay, well, if we go here, are we going to have enough money? We didn't have to worry about that because I wasn't out blowing the money on something like that. So those 2 years we were happy. I was doing real good.
Okay. And then 2 years later
It
was a
was when
relapse.
during those 2 years, I I got pregnant with my daughter. Um, and I did real good. Uh, was still off, everything and everything like that. She was born June 24th, 2019.
Do you only have one daughter?
Yes,
So
just
it's a
one,
daughter
together.
right
He
there.
has a daughter
Well,
too, my
the
stepdaughter, but we only have one together.
and is that the baby laying on you right now?
Yes. um, she was born June 24th, 2019, because she was born 6 weeks early, and she was 2 pounds 15 ounces, and the hospital where I live really didn't know how she would come out. Um, she was they were afraid that she wouldn't be breathing or whatever. Well, she came out fine, but where she was so small, she had to go spend the time in the NICU. Um, so we had to travel about an hour and a half away in order to see her, which that's fine. I did good. She was still in the NICU. She'd been in the NICU for about 3 weeks. Well, every so often we'd come home in order to get new clothes and stuff like that and wash her clothes. Well, one time when we came home, I made the mistake of getting with my dad giving me a Percocet. and I took it. So I relapsed, or to me, I relapsed. Went back, okay, and they were calling in um, DCS because of how small she was. Um, the DCS worker came the very next day, and they wanted a drug test. Okay, so I'm like, okay, but I came clean. I was scared to death because he didn't know that I had taken the Percocet, and when she said she wanted me to, go pee in the cup, I said, okay. I said, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to fill it. She said, and when she asked me for what, I said, I'm going to fill it for oxycodone. Said I took a Percocet yesterday. And I was terrified. I was hesitant. I was scared. And I know why I did it. I did it because of the stress of my daughter being in the NICU. And
Did they drug test your daughter as well?
they did, and there wasn't nothing in it. They automatically did it when she was born. And there wasn't nothing in her system. And that was the first one I taken in 2 years. Pretty much threw away 2 years sobriety time right there for one Percocet. And I was terrified to tell the DCS lady. And of course, my boyfriend, because I sure enough thought he'd leave me right then and there. Um, but the lady tested, I did the drug test, and so did my boyfriend. He showed up clean. I failed for the oxycodone. She called their supervisor, and I told her, um, she asked me, she said, are you willing to do whatever we ask of you? Are you willing to cooperate? I said, yeah. I said, I'll do anything as long as it means I get to keep my daughter. And so that's where the whole recovery starts. That's where the first 100% recovery, like treatment program and all, starts out.
So what did your treatment program look like? Was it
Well,
just an IOP or was there an
yes,
inpatient
I
component?
I had to do IOP, IOP classes 3 days a week, um, and I got drug tested every week. Let's see, I had to take parenting classes, um, and really that was about it that they, you know, said that we had to, I had to do and everything, which I did. Um, and I graduated from my IOP class after I think it was 8 weeks that I had to do. And I felt like I needed more. So I looked at the DCS worker and I said, send me to another IOP class. I need more. So I went to another IOP class.
What did you take away from the first that what did you feel was lacking from the first IOP?
Um, just knowing how to use the coping skills that they taught me.
And type of coping skills were those?
Um, breathing exercises. Uh, just trying to find things that I like to do. Like redirecting my mind. Like at first, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to redirect my mind, and my thinking and stuff. If I were to have a craving, and I felt like, okay, well, I need more help in knowing how to do that and how to actually, start the coping skills when I need them. And redirecting my mind, like I found out that I like to color, so I would color. I found out I like to read books. For God, I never knew that. Reading books. I found out, I I like to actually walk. Breathing exercises were never my thing.
So
But
here's a question. That that sure does seem to be a lot of treatment for one Percocet. What weren't you doing during the 2 years of sobriety between your rock bottom and this one Percocet while your baby girl was in the NICU? Like, why wasn't that time? What were you doing with that time instead of like learning, doing your journey of self discovery where you figure out, oh, I like to do things other than eat
um,
pills and chase
I
pills.
was really, if you want to know the truth, I was just existing during those years. I didn't I didn't try to get to know myself because I didn't know how. That's what IOP taught me, you know. But I knew that if I touched another pain pill throughout those years or started on pills again, that he would leave. So I was merely just existing.
Okay. So you went through a 2 year limbo.
Yeah.
DCS. Is that what you said? DCS?
Yes.
In Utah, it's DCFS. Um, so you went through a 2 year limbo, uh, and DCS got involved. You went to an IOP. Did you? Is was it like an excitement thing? Like you were learning skills and on this journey that you may never have experienced before, and that's why you were like, I want more. Like I would like another IOP because like my life is improving as a result of what you guys are asking me to do, or
Yeah. Yeah. That's really what it was. Like I was it like when I first started, I thought, oh God, I'm gonna dread this. I'm gonna hate this. This isn't gonna work for me. But as I kept going to the IOP, and I'm like, okay, well, this actually, is helping me. It's helping me get to know myself, and helping me be a better mom now that I am a mother, and I was actually excited to go. And I felt like, well, I could learn more. I felt like I could learn some more about how to discover myself. And that's why I asked for the extra IOP.
okay. And then so what skills did you take from the second one that you felt were lacking from the first?
The second one, um I learned a little bit more on how to incorporate and how to do the coping skills that I was taught.
Such
Um
as?
like the redirecting my thinking, for when I think of going to get high or going to get something. Like I now know how to stop that thinking right there and like right in its steps and turn it around to focus on something else. um that was the main thing that I learned right there. And that's the main thing that has helped me. And I've also learned how to be able to face things, um, as far as like stressors and stuff. I'm not 100% on this yet. This is still a work in progress, but I know how to face things and not get as stressed out or get thrown into a panic attack or something like that. When I'm having to face some type of like money issue, or having to take my child to the doctor, um or or going out and using now. If I were to get that, I don't panic, like, oh God, um and I do I do read a lot now to cope. That's one of my coping skills.
So what let's see. Oh, excuse me. I had to burp for a little bit. Um, so you did the IOP, you did another IOP, you
Mm-hmm.
went on that journey of self discovery. Um, when did and what remind me your sobriety date?
Uh, July 18th, 2019. And
July
this,
18th, 2019.
yep. And that was the day that DCS came in.
Okay. And so you went through two IOPs,
Mm-hmm.
and how long did that take? Like
They
what's
were, I believe, 8 weeks each. But my DCS case was open from July 18th, 2019 until November 3rd, 2019.
okay. So now we have an opportunity. So what was the second date? 2019, November
November 3rd. Mm-hmm.
November 3rd of 2019. Okay. So November 3rd of 2019 until right around February, March of 2020. Like, what did that period of time look like? Because I think you can see where we're going.
Um, that period of time, it was it was actually really good. I tried to incorporate all the things that I learned throughout the whole time DCS was in the picture, into my daily lives. Um, I did struggle. Um, and there were times that, like, if I could have, I would have, but I fought through them. And I had cravings during that time. That time I had a lot of cravings, and one of those, why can't I just go back? And I had a lot of stress in my life. Being a new mom, and no sleep. With a
Uh-huh.
newborn,
Yeah.
and so that time it was rough. Um, it was one of those, like, I really want to, but I have something to lose, and it's right here in my arms.
Okay, so we went from November until about February. The beginning of March, the world lost its fucking mind.
Yep.
How did COVID? How did you utilize the coping mechanisms that were taught to you in your IOP and through the practice of that from November until February? How did those help you through this pandemic?
Um, what I felt a lot through the pandemic, which is what a lot of people I'm sure have felt, is loneliness. I was really lonely. Um, what
Now,
I tried to
are you
do,
with this? You're with the same boyfriend.
yes,
Was that the gentleman that passed behind you just a moment ago?
yes.
Okay.
I was lonely. Um, even though I wasn't truly alone, but I was lonely. Because my friends, I couldn't go hang out with them just like anybody else. We couldn't go hang out. We couldn't go do this. Couldn't go do that. Couldn't even go out to eat. You know. What I did is I just what I simply tried to do is keep busy, which is one of the coping skills that I seen to help me through, addiction and all that in general, in recovery. And I just try to keep busy. I'd clean the house, or I'd, play with my daughter, or read a book, color something. I'd always keep busy to try to, and I'd also talk on the phone a lot. That helped a lot when I would feel lonely, and I still do that today. If I feel lonely, I try to find somebody that will talk on the phone with me, because that helped the most. Is just talking to somebody on the phone, hearing someone else's voice that I don't hear every day, you know, and that helped me the most.
And then how did so we're all in lockdown. I don't know what your state did, if they issued a stay at home order or put the state on lockdown. Not only like non-essential businesses were closed and all of that. But so you stayed clean through COVID, all of 2020,
Hmm.
everything that's going on, all of the riots and all of this racial politics and all of this craziness that we got going on. And what does your life look like today? Like, because we're on the hopefully we're on the end of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're gonna see all of the chaos start to die down. How are you and your boyfriend, who has no name yet, daughter, like how are you guys like functioning today? Like,
Today, uh, with me being clean, we now live on our own in our own house. Um, so we do have bills, but we don't have to worry about money because I'm not out blowing it on, drugs or anything like that. Um,
so no hookers or blow?
no, no. um, we're able to go out and do stuff if we want to. We're able to go out to a friend's house and just hang out for a while. Um, we're able to go out to eat if we want to, or even just go get something and bring it home. Um, my daughter has everything that she needs. We have everything that we need. Um, he's my boyfriend, and his name is Matt, by the way.
Oh,
um, he's fighting for disability, and I'm not working right now because my daughter's being so young. Um, she so we live off of her, SSI check that she gets, and that's not a lot of money, but hey, it's enough to make it through. We pay our bills. We got electricity, water, food. That's it. That's all we need. And and each other, and that our life looks just like that. I mean, we're happy. I mean, every now and then, just like any couple, we argue. But I mean, other than that, we're happy. You know, we have a family. We have everything we need. Roof over our head, food in our stomachs. There you go.
Jester says, stay strong and keep your chin up. It sounds like you're in it to win this fight.
That I am.
I love you, Jester. And then, oh, I lost that comment. Let's see. I've been here, just hit a bump in the road, but back on track, says Brittany.
That's great.
Yeah. So what does your future look like?
Um,
You
well,
said
my future, my goal for me, and really it would be for my family because it would make money. Once I hit that 2 year mark, July 18th, this year, once I hit that 2 year mark, my goal is to in the state of Tennessee, which is where I live. Um, they have this program that you can do to be a certified peer recovery specialist, and that's my goal. I'm gonna, you know, um do my application for that and everything, and but I can't turn in the application until I hit 2 years clean. So that's my biggest goal because the I want to help other addicts that might have been in the same position or are in or whatever that they can relate to me. I want to be able to help them. And that is my biggest goal right there. That is my life goal is to get there.
and so you're just waiting for 2 years clean. What are you doing
Yep.
in the meantime? Are there any courses that you could be taking to?
No, I've looked into it and everything. They won't let me do anything until I'm 2 years.
And how would you prove that you have 2 years?
Really? I don't know
Like,
yet.
you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not doubting, like, by
Yeah, yeah,
means of
yeah.
just
I
a
know.
doubt on
Like
my
I've
part.
thought
It,
of that too. Like, how do
you
they know
know,
for sure
yeah.
fact you have 2 years? Um, I'm not quite sure. If they would have me send in anything specific or what that would be. Um, so like, but I've looked to see if there was any courses I could take in the meantime. But in order to be accepted into the program, it says you have to have 2 years clean. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie about my clean time.
Mhm.
That feels completely wrong.
Oh, I agreed.
And so I mean, I'm gonna wait. I've tried, like applying to see
Can
if
we
I
get the
could go.
serenity prayer, John? Sorry.
That way I
Wait.
can kind of start doing it. I've tried to apply, but they won't even let they. It says they won't even look at the application unless I have 2 years clean. So I'm just waiting right now, and I got my Discord up, and that's how I'm satisfying that. I guess you could say satisfying for lack of better terms.
Excellent.
To try to help people.
Absolutely. That's the motto here. We recover better together. And if people
Right.
aren't willing to help and reach out and support each other, then it just makes things more difficult. It's more of a, be the change you want to see in the world. It should be, I feel that our responsibility as humans, loving, caring humans, is to try to reduce suffering and just to be that light for others. So Ingrid says, thank you for sharing. Cherie was able to type this out with her limited technological skills. And thanks for sharing. Brittany says, you are an inspiration for parents of special needs kids that we do recover. We can do this. Thank you, John. And we will. I like how John says this. He says, we recover better by staying safe, staying sane, staying strong, and staying sober. You're worth it. Good night, family. I love you all. And if unless you have anything else to share with us, so we can close now with the serenity prayer.
No, I'm good.
I thank you very much, John, for putting this in the chat for me. Always a big help. So you ready? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the
The
wisdom
wisdom
to know
to
the
know the
difference.
difference.
So until Sunday, I believe we have it's Thursday. Remember, we have Zoom meetings every day at 1 o'clock. I think we have a meeting on Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. We're going to have a late night Zoom after this. If you're not a member of the Discord, please join. And remember, don't put yourself in high risk situations. Stay strong. I might have messed up the order. Uh, oh gosh. Work your program and remember, we recover better together.